Still bouncing in my head. Still got it going in my head. Oh yeah. Answers by guess. Answers by guess. Answers by guess. Answers by guess. What up?
How is it week 11?
I don't know, man. This time is just fun. It was actually I was looking at it. I'm like, huh. I don't have to scroll very far for the schedule anymore.
Mm,
Crazy, man.
mm.
But answers by guess, guys. Week 11. Holy moly, guacamole. Hope you're still with us. We're ready to keep on going, get you guys to your championships. This is crunch time now, especially the guys that have the 5-5 records, the 4-6 records. This is where the push starts coming, and I know Guess got some good people for you.
Yeah, a lot of leagues I'm in. There's a lot of teams real bunched up, real
I feel like
bunched
it's been
up.
that way this year.
Yeah, so I think it has a lot to do with. I mean, those last 3 weeks. This past week was a good one. Finally, the studs kind of came through, but the other 3 weeks, we like to forget about those.
I don't know. The bye weeks have been affecting, especially. I mean, bye Mageddon was definitely rough. Week 9, remember last week you were ripping up the paver. Let's get rid of that one. And this week kind of was the same kind of. I mean, like you're right. Some studs did come on, but again, it just felt like a weird week, like some domination in football. Like some teams were just didn't show up, and I'm like, damn, I got guys from that team, and they just didn't show up. Kind of
Yeah,
feeling.
I love um, like parody in general. I love, and I mean, it's always kind of there in the NFL, but I like the fact that there's a lot of teams that have no business winning or competing. Um, and I texted you like, there's a new rule, and so this is for everybody now, because it was very clear when a team that is really good, the Bills, the Cowboys, suffer an embarrassing loss in a game they shouldn't have lost, don't play players on the team that they're playing against the next week because it didn't go well. Now, the Jets, this the Jets. Mike White showed who he really is.
I shouldn't have played him. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was riding high, man.
Well, I mean, and like we talked about, like with the card game and everything, there's a reason that he was drafted where he was and bounced from the Cowboys and wound up at the Jets. We saw it. He had this one great game and got him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
so, yeah, it'll be Zach Wilson. But that's the Jets. And I think that the Falcons, what they did in that game um, is one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen. Stupidest ever. Not even, like, take fantasy out of it. If you played Falcons and they got benched in the middle, early part of the third quarter, Matt Ryan, right, the studs. Why?
Matt Ryan.
Forget about the fantasy side of it. Like, it sucked for if you played Falcons players, but you got a young team. Not Matt Ryan, and Cordarrelle Patterson's not really young. He's 30, but he's having a good year. And he's a part of this team, and he can get this team going. You got a young team. You got a lot of young players for the most part. I mean, the names of the running backs aren't really young, but you need to play in the game because they practice all week for the game. If you're getting killed in the game and where you're at this season, it's not like you're benching guys to save them for the playoffs. You use that as added practice. You're getting your butts whooped, but you have a game going on, which you prepared for. Keep your guys in the game, get them reps so that they can be better next week. It's like a free practice, like a real deal. I mean, injuries are going to happen. They're going to happen, they're going to happen, but you can't be benching guys. And if your reason is, we didn't want anybody to get hurt, well, If you were in the game or winning or tied, would you have taken them out because you were worried about them getting hurt? No. So just because you're getting blown out, don't stop competing. It's practice. It benefits you as a professional, as a player. Every little bit of real-time football helps your team. Benching them in the third quarter did nothing for the Falcons. I feel like it's going to hurt them even more. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, from a wide receiving standpoint, I mean, you lose your best wide receiver. It's like, okay, Kyle Pitts, he's still a rookie. You're right. Get them the reps. Try to see what it looks like.
Right.
And
Battle.
being down in that situation, exactly. What does it feel like to come back? Let's score some touchdowns. Let's, rile them up and stuff like that. I can see where you're coming from.
And if there's any team that's getting smoked like that should go in the game and feel that a comeback could be made, it's the Falcons, because the reverse happened to them in the Super Bowl. Patriots could have easily given up, but they didn't. They came back and they won. So, come on. That was, if you own Falcons players and you played them this week, that was terrible. It's not how it should be. It's not how it should be. When you're winning the game, I can see later in the game. I mean, Josh Allen didn't come out of the game.
No, they put the pedal to the metal even more.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was again, a lot of blowouts, man. I mean, you had the Cleveland New England game too. That was a blowout. I mean, there was a lot of offense on one side, and then just not as much on the other. It was kind of crazy. An interesting week. Your Week 10 guesstimator came through. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, let's keep it going. He showed some flashes. He actually should have had 2 touchdowns, could have, but it was a cheap holding pass interference because he had beat the D-back, and Carr threw a ball that he would have caught, and it would have been a touchdown, the first one of the game. So he could have had 2. So he's getting targeted all the right times. All of his passes are chunk plays. I'd like to see what happens when he gets 5 catches a game. He's been stuck at that 3, seems like all year pretty much, but he's getting 60 to 80, 90 yards on those 3. Let's get him 5 receptions, 6 receptions, a couple touchdowns a game. I think it's coming. I mean, we'll see. I don't know if we could trust him. This was more of a ebbs and flows, position, volume based on the matchup. But we'll see. But he's definitely somebody who now, if you didn't do the reason I give you guesstimators each week, the reason we do this show for 5 years, if you didn't scoop them, you're going to have a hard time scooping them this week. Now you're going to have to waste a waiver claim. You're going to have to compete with other people with FAB. It was the week to get him. The week to get him was before. You have to be proactive, not reactive. That's what we talk about every single week.
Yeah, I mean, they're going up against Cincinnati this week too, so you think that that's going to be a higher offensive game, even though Cincinnati's defense has been playing better. But there are times that you see that they lapse as well. So I can see him. Dude, he's a big boy. I saw him pictures and stuff like that, but actually seeing him on the field and being tackled and stuff, he's a pretty big guy. He does remind me a lot of Terrell Owens. It's kind of scary how that same body type and same body build. Mm-hmm. All right. You want to jump into questions, man, or?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see what Jeremy has to say here. I'm 5-5 in both leagues. I really need wins, and I play you guys this week. I don't know. ABG League, man.
You won.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard Eli Mitchell, broken finger. Seems like he's having surgery possibly on it. That's another one of our backs that just went down. Injury bug in our ABG league has just hurt us tremendously.
Injury bug. Goddard's got concussion. Injury bug. In game
is
things are happening in the game where it's like Javonte Williams touchdown. Nope, called back. Javonte Williams huge run. Nope, called back. Next play on a different game. Somebody gets lucky and scores a touchdown against us. It's like we're texting each other back and forth. It's like we can't, we can't catch a break. We can't catch a break. But that's fantasy, and we don't cry about it. We're going to keep fighting. We're in the basement, pretty much. We're sitting on somebody, but we're in the basement, and it's like every single week something's happening. I mean, if Baker doesn't go out in that game, we probably could have won. maybe at least had a better chance. Maybe we get some garbage.
I mean, think about Javonte Williams. I mean, we
That's-
lost by
yeah.
what, 18, not even 18
12.
points, by 12 points. He had 2 touchdowns, I think, that were brought back, if I'm not mistaken,
Right.
or
That's
one
what I'm
touchdown,
saying.
or one by the goal line. You're right, but it's
Yeah.
like, come on, man, it's right there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't get the breaks, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Keep on
So it
pushing
goes.
forward, and you put your lineup in this week, and you make it happen.
So congrats, Jeremy. You won. You're 6-5.
All right, Josh, with the question: which defense would you rather have rest of the season? Colts, San Francisco, Rams, or Pittsburgh?
San Francisco has the Rams number, so I'm not going to be too reactive to that. They do have a good defense. They've sort of underperformed. Honestly, at this point, if you're streaming defenses, Josh, I'm looking at matchups and I'm trying to grab 2 of them and use them interchangeably week by week. I really like the Colts, but they've kind of underperformed. The Rams have all the names. They remind me of the Eagles about, 8-10 years ago, and they got like Namne Asumwa or whatever the guy's name. They were building the super team with who was that coach that they had from Oregon? That he was like the fast coach where everything was fast, real fast. Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
It was a Chip Kelly offense, and they were just signing players left and right. And they were like this super team, but they sucked. And I don't think that's what the Rams are, but they remind me of that. Dropped a couple in a row. Pittsburgh, the TJ Watt injury, right? He got hurt again, so that's going to hurt. They're always worse without him. I think I'd definitely grab the Colts, and then I'd look at the other ones, and I'd probably grab another one. I don't have the schedules in front of me. I don't know them by heart, but I want where I can plug and play from 11 to 17, nail at least 4 or 5 of those matchups.
Yeah, San Francisco would probably be my choice. Just again, kind of just looking at the schedule here. Jaguars this week, Vikings the following, which that could be a higher scoring game. But then I believe they have Seattle on a Sunday nighter. So I mean, they seem like they have their conference number. I mean, that's where they usually do really well against. So San Francisco would be my other choice besides what he just said. So.
Yeah, so this week against the Jags, I'm not sure who the Colts are playing. I know the Colts have Houston next week, I think, or week 13.
Colts are playing the Bills this week.
Right, so that's not a good one for this week.
They got the Bucks the following week, but you're right. Week 13, they have the Texans.
Right, so I'm grabbing 2 so that I can interchange. And, like, let's say you grab 1 for this week, like San Francisco, but you don't like their 12 through 15 matchups. You could dump them and maybe grab on the others. But those are all defenses that should be owned. I mean, that's like 4 of the top defenses. However, big announcement, and I hope I don't jinx them, Green Bay has the best defense at football.
Crazy, man. They're playing lights out, dude.
I've been a Packers fan for just about 30 years. I'm a card collector now. I was when I was a kid. I took a lot of years off. I opened a pack when I was a kid of Action Pack. If you collected cards as a kid, you remember the Action Pack. They were like embossed. And I got this card of this Falcons quarterback, Brett Favre. And we used to have price guides like Beckett or Tough Stuff. And I open it up and I go to 1991 Action Pack and I look it up and it's worth $6. And like, as a 9-year-old kid, I'm like, whoa, who's this guy? He did nothing that year. Played 1 game. He was drunk and hungover. Got traded. Went to the Packers. Had a really good first season once Don Majkowski. And I was like, hey, I have this guy's card. It's worth money. I like the Packers. And that's how it started, 1992. So I don't remember a Green Bay defense, even the years they won the 2 Super Bowls and went to 3 Super Bowls and all these past 5 or 6 years that they go to the NFC Championship and lose. Their problem has always been their defense was the worst. Their offense was always electric with Favre and A-Rod. This defense is ridiculous. Like, you think they should have beaten Kansas City if their offense was a little bit better. They held Kansas City to 13 points, and they should have scored 13 themselves. So they look good, and they're sitting out on waiver wires, and I hope it continues. But we mentioned this earlier in the season, where like the new defensive coordinator, like he's got something going on, and back then I sort of saw a glimpse of it, but I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it. Packers never have a good defense, but these past like 3-4 weeks, just ridiculous. It started with Kyler Murray game.
I was going to say it started with the first week of the season, man. They got blown the hell out, and they're like, that's not the team who we are. Even when A-Rod gave Devontae the look, like, yeah, that's never happening again. I mean, think about the tear that they've been on since then, and it needed – I mean, unfortunately, COVID is what took them out of that game against Kansas City. Otherwise, that would be their only loss.
Yeah. So maybe they're out there. Maybe they got a nice schedule, Josh.
All
they
right.
do have a bye, though. They have a bye. So do the Colts.
Dawn with the question, streaming QB this week, Mac Jones versus Atlanta, Danny Dimes, Monday Night Football, Tua or Newton. Monday night they're playing against the Bucks. Tua is the Jets, and Cam is playing against Washington.
I don't want to go Thursday against Atlanta, right?
You talked about the concept earlier. I mean, they're not an explosive offense, but they just got their doors blown off.
Right. I don't want to do that. Not when these other options are there. And Cam Newton, he still can't throw the ball. He's not accurate. And I don't want to do Danny Jones against the Bucks, because the Bucks, the same thing just sort of happened to them. Right?
Yeah.
Same concept. Brady looked pissed. Now, that's good if Brady's pissed and not really the defense. But you got to have the defense a little pissed too. But we kind of talked about it. Heineke's got their number for whatever reason. I think I'd go with Tua. I know he's a little banged up. He's coming off the hand thing. He's playing the Jets. Division game. They have weapons. He's got a lot of confidence going right now. He went into that game, and the coach has his back. The coach, Brissett, could have went in. He said, no, we're sticking with Tua. Their defense is playing great. They can make some short fields, and you can get some cheap touchdowns with Tua. I think I'm gonna go with Tua, Dawn.
Yeah, I would probably go with Tua as well. I like Mac Jones on Thursday, but you're right. If you don't have to take a Thursday, why? You know what? Danny Dimes isn't a bad one for Monday night. I know they're going against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay, like you said, just lost and stuff like that. You're getting Barkley back. You're getting Shepard back. I think that helps the offense. Their O-line looked better. I mean, coming off of a win, going into the bye week, I would say that would be a coin flip for me between those two.
What you have Danny Dimes volume. It's going to be a volume play. Bucks are going to score on offense. Giants defense is no pushover, but they're not that good. And their offense is getting it together, so they should hopefully be able to sustain some drives. But Tampa Bay's got a lights-out defense. Mac Jones isn't terrible on Thursday. I would just hate for Thursday to be a dud for you, and then you watch Sunday and Monday happen. I like Mac Jones, right? I think I was on the Mac Jones train kind of before anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to do it on Thursday. Atlanta, they're pretty good against the run. And I feel like if they can slow the run, it could disrupt Jones just a little bit. It's the run game that gets Mac Jones going. It's the fact that Harris is ridiculous and Stevenson is Harris 2.0. And I like Tua. Newton is the wild card here. Newton's going to get a rushing touchdown or two. I just can't trust him throwing the ball. However, I will say this. I will say that I do feel like, and it's Tuesday, and it's fresh off the week, I do feel like Robbie Anderson gets going with Cam Newton. I have a feeling.
Right? He's on one of my waiver wire pickups, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I got a feeling that he gets going with Cam. For whatever reason, Cam can't throw the ball, but he can chuck it deep, and Robbie Anderson's fast enough to get underneath even a little bit of a poorly thrown, overthrown ball. So watch out for Robbie Anderson. He might be a sneaky pickup for you all this week.
All right, let's go into the next one here. Rudy with a question. Anybody else been stashing Trey Lance all season? Mine or over it is I have Hurts. I'm not sure what that means. Should I drop Lance for Cam?
Blah, blah, blah. Should I drop Lance?
That's pretty much
No,
what it comes down to.
no. I know the question isn't really just for us because has anybody, has anybody been stashing? No. Stephen Biker, I don't know if you're watching. You're in the ABG league. We're friends outside of this, albeit we never met in person. We're like Facebook through the card game friends. But we're in a league together, a dynasty league, and even before all that, he was so huge. And he's not the only one. He was so huge on Trey Lance. So many people love Trey Lance. Darko is a big Trey Lance guy. And I was just like, I don't see it. He's not even going to play this year. You need Jimmy G to get hurt. And we got Jimmy G hurt. Trey Lance played, and he didn't look that good. Jimmy G played great last week. Trey Lance ain't hitting the field unless he absolutely lays an egg. And when he got in the field, he's the last one. I do that. The rookie QB lineup. He's been number 5 pretty much the entire season. And he's been number 5 since the draft for me. I had him at number 5. He hasn't gone up. He hasn't. And by the way, Trevor Lawrence is basically 4th at this point. I think we'll put him at 3rd because Wilson's been hurt, so we'll put Wilson at 4th. But he's basically 4th because I feel like if Wilson wasn't hurt, he would be doing better than Lawrence. But Fields is number 2 because he looked like he was coming on that second half, and you and I were talking before the show, Rob. Kind of feel like he's got it together, and we'll see. But he's kind of somebody, and the Chicago receivers and tight end, Komet's getting it together. So those are people that are up there on the waiver wire that, this is the time where you grab another man's trash or another woman's trash and you stash, right?
Yeah, especially during the bye weeks, man. Look who people are dropping. I know people are really quick to get to the waiver wires, and yes, some of these guys would make sense, but sometimes it doesn't hurt to wait to see who gets dropped, especially if you see somebody in a pinch. That's what I'm looking for sometimes is, hey, this guy got 3 buys, and I know he's going to have to drop one of these guys because he's not going to drop A, B, or C, and see what kind of goes from there, too.
Yeah, so you have Hurts, so you need somebody for week 14, I believe.
They are week 14.
So when is who is Carolina playing week 14? I mean, that would answer all the questions for me. If they're playing somebody that we feel like Cam can have a good game against, if he ranges
Falcons. Panthers are at home.
Falcons usually do pretty good against Cam. They were the one team that beat them that year. They were undefeated right before they, I believe, went to the Super Bowl.
That is correct. That is correct.
I would drop Lance for Cam. I would. If somebody else picks up Trey Lance and he happens to have a good game or two or the rest of the season, so be it. You have Hurts. You're fine. You're not using Lance anyway. Drop him.
All right, Dawn with another one here. Hey, fam. Been hanging on to the number 1 waiver all season. I'm debating using it for Knox. I have Muth and Thomas on IR. Part of me doesn't want to burn it now as the playoffs are coming up. Do I just roll with what I have?
It was surprising Logan Thomas didn't come back. I thought he was going to, and mentioned that in the Saturday show. I think I'd just sit with what you have. I'd like to grab Knox. He did have only 1 catch, but he did have a touchdown or a end zone target, and the throw was just a little behind him. Otherwise, he would have caught it. I feel like he got a little scared about the defender coming in and sort of got dinosaur T-Rex arms a little. I mean, they were extended, but a little. Um, I mean, Knox is a great pickup, but there's a chance, and I'm a Knox owner, but there's a chance that he cools off greatly because Diggs is coming on. So there's that chance. Beasley got back into it when Knox was out. Beasley's a little banged up, didn't do much, hasn't really done much past couple of weeks, but he's still getting some targets. Gabe Davis is starting to show up. We've been waiting for him all season. So there's a chance that Knox sort of comes back down to earth. I hope it doesn't happen, but there's a chance. So I would let him go. I'd let somebody else get it. I'd hold on to your waiver one. You have two good tight ends. You could throw Freiermuth out there. You could throw last week away. It was Mason Rudolph. Big Ben will be back. So I think you're fine with what you have. And when Logan Thomas comes back, you got a good backup.
I really feel like Muth is Heath Miller. For Big Ben, that's what it reminds me of, man.
But way more athletic.
No, yeah, but I'm just talking about the reliability when he's looking for that third down, when there's something that's making him uncomfortable. It seems like Freiermuth is the one that he's looking towards. And that was Deontay at one point. Now he's having a little bit more faith. It's one of those two guys, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd hold on to it, Don.
This one's a really long one.
Yeah, all right.
It's a two-parter.
Okay.
Four-parter.
All
right. Scott T with really need a reality check on this one. 2 weeks ago, I won by 0.5 and took sole possession of second place. This past week, I got crushed, and now I'm in 6 as they're a log jam at 6-4. Kind of what we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm realistic to think I probably don't have a winning roster this year, but I'm going to fight to the end anyways.
As you should.
We always do. All right. I have number one waiver claim, which I've been holding for a number of weeks. Van Jefferson is available. Any chance he has a high upside down the stretch with Robert Woods out? If Odell turns out to be the same bust he was in Cleveland, is it worth the shot, or do I continue to hold the number one waiver for future weeks? I like the questions on the number one waiver, man. They're really thinking through the process.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know if that's us helping you with that. We did mention that. You want to hold that. You want to save that. But whether it is or it isn't, congrats. Good thinking. I don't think I would waste it on Van Jefferson. I don't think, and I've said it for weeks, that Odell is going to ball out with this team. But I'm not quite sure that Van Jefferson is going to ball out Robert Woods out. I think what you're going to see is those two kind of split the production, which wasn't even that crazy. Remember, 5 weeks ago, we were like, what the heck's going on with Robert Woods? And then I was like, I feel like he's going to have a good game. And he had an amazing game. And then he was starting to show up a little bit. So I think they're going to split the Robert Woods plus Van Jefferson. Van will get a little more than he was getting. Odell will get what Van was getting with a little more. You know what I mean? So it's like, picture like Robert Woods 75, Van Jefferson 25. Well, now maybe Van Jefferson's 60, Odell's 40. You know what I mean? So it's like I think Odell will be a little more than Van was, but I think Van will be less than Robert Woods was. So I wouldn't waste number one on it. The only reason you would do such a thing is if like you own D-Hop, who knows what's going on with him. Sutton, who's on a bye, who since Judy came back has done nothing. Julio, who can't get healthy, just like we said he wouldn't be able to this year, which is why I didn't like him going into the season. If you've got that type of wide receiver core that's absolutely decimated, Van Jefferson's going to be like the best one you have, or the second best one, maybe. But I would save it. I'd save it. I'd love to see what the rest of your roster looks like, but I'm not wasting a number one on Van Jefferson.
Agreed. All right, Scott T with another question here. I'm planning to pick up Tua or Tannehill this week as a streamer QB, but probably don't need to use a waiver for that. Who do you think you should take? And does he use a waiver for that? I mean, it depends on your QB situation. what your rest of your week looks like. But
Yeah, you have to. This is
are
why
you
I love
fucking
this.
somebody?
Yeah, this is why I love this. This is why, and I'm not saying that anybody hasn't thought of this, but I love that we do this because some people might not think this way. Like, fantasy's not about you or only you, it's everybody else. See, right now there's going to be teams that are on a bye, and you got to look at all the other teams in your league, Scott. You got to be like, okay, how many people need a QB this week? If nobody needs a QB this week, let's peek at next week. How many people need a QB next week? Oh, only one person? Okay. There's probably a chance that that one person is going to wait till next week. And if they don't, then they're going to take one of those two guys. And now you have your answer. You waited, you saved your waiver, and you just get to grab the other one. I don't think I would take a waiver unless there were like 4 managers that needed a QB, and those are 2 of the best. If those are 2 of the best and 4 people need them, you better grab them. Better. And I would grab Tua. I mean, I just recommended him with this matchup. I feel like they'll get some short fields, some cheap touchdowns. He's got a lot of confidence. Coach has confidence in him. Tannehill's doing his thing. Don't get me wrong, but I'd go with Tua.
I just give you a heads up. Tannehill does play Houston this week. I don't know if that would change your mind at all.
Well, that's an even better thing because what are they going to do? What do they want to do? What does Tennessee mostly want to do? They want to run the ball. They don't have Derrick Henry. And like I said McNichols plus Foreman plus Adrian Peterson doesn't even equal Derrick Henry. Look at what they did last week. And that was with a big lead. They should have just been running and running. They couldn't get anything on the ground. They don't even come close. Adrian Peterson was not going to be Derrick Henry. The people that went out and grabbed him, it's never going to happen. So, but against Houston, those 3 will have more success because their defense is good enough that they should be able to shut down Houston's offense enough and have a good lead and run and run and run and run. And now you say, well, guess the Dolphins should be able to do that as well. Yeah, they should. But the Jets have a little bit of a better offense than Houston.
Especially if Zach Wilson comes back, I think he's going to try to come out slinging, man. But that's the Jets fan in me. All right. Also, I'm going for upside. Is it Sanders, Tony, or Stevenson in the flex this week?
It might not be Stevenson, because Harris practiced today. So if he clears the protocol, it's going to be Harris. At best, it'll be 50-50. Also, even if you use Stevenson, you don't use him in the flex because it's a Thursday night game. You plug him in RB and you move one of your RBs to the flex just in case something happens to them. COVID, freak injury. They get married and elope. I don't know.
Do you take him off for that?
Yeah, I don't know. Manny Sanders, I can't recommend him.
I think it's Miles Sanders, to be honest with you. That's who I took it
I
as.
don't even know if he's back. I'm going to go with Tony. I believe they're playing one of the night games. Is that Monday night, right?
Monday night.
Let's see if he bounces back off the bye.
It has to be Manny Sanders. You're right. My bad.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Tony in the flex. And you know what? If Harris is called out, then maybe you go with Stevenson. But I'm going to go with Tony. But you don't play Stevenson in the flex, Scott. You move him into RB, and you put one of your RBs in the flex just in case. Otherwise, you're stuck.
All right. Josue with the question. Pick up Komet and start over Pitts.
Yes, and not so sure. Not so sure.
Bears are playing the Ravens this week.
Yeah. I think that I would pick up Komet but I think I would start Pitts on Thursday.
I agree with that. I think they're going to come out try to get some offense right away, even trick plays, kind of like what Detroit did against the Rams, knowing that they were going to be down big, quick kind of deal. I can see Matty Ice trying to sling it real quick just to get some points on the board. All right, Josue with the question here: Tua versus Jets or Fields versus Baltimore? Ooh,
That's a good one.
Intriguing.
I'd like you to I'd like you to play Fields, but it's a super risk because playing Fields is taking a gamble on he got it together, and the bye week made him get it together even more. Also, high volume. Baltimore, I believe, is coming off an embarrassing loss. Am I correct? Oh yeah, they got smoked to the Dolphins on Thursday, so they're going to be pumped up. So that means the Bears are going to have to push it. So I go Fields, but it's risky because I do think I've recommended him twice now. Tua's going to have a solid game. If you want something a little more safe, you go with Tua. If you're feeling like I feel and you want to push the issue a little and get a little sexy, you throw Fields in.
Show a little shoulder.
Mm.
All right. Darko, I have Pitts and lost by 0.05. Unreal.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's heartbreaking, man.
They shouldn't be taking them out.
I don't get that stuff, man. I actually watched a lot of football this weekend, which was pretty cool. Here are my starters. Running back, J-Rob and Zeke. Wide receivers, Pittman and DK. Flex, Hollywood Brown. Any thoughts on switching someone out for Monty? Wilson didn't look good, and Colts play Bills. Wentz sucked against the Jags.
Is that Jeffrey Wilson? Yeah, well, he's not the starter. However, Elijah Mitchell's got the broken hand.
It's probably going to be Jeff Wilson now.
So Jeffrey Wilson's probably the best one. I don't know who they're playing.
San Fran is playing the Jags.
Yeah.
Jags are at home.
Yeah. If Elijah Mitchell's out, I'm probably going to fire up Jeffrey Wilson this week because this will be one of those games where it's like Jeffrey Wilson gets 151 yards and 3 touchdowns, and everybody goes nuts about it, and he'll get hurt the next week, and it'll be right back to Elijah Mitchell.
I should write that down. So 151, 3 touchdowns, hurt following week.
Yeah. We've seen
Jeffrey Wilson.
We've seen it. So let's pay attention, Jeremy, to the Elijah Mitchell hand situation. Go ahead with J-Rob and Zeke. Yeah, I don't know if Wentz sucked against the Jags. It wasn't great.
Some of the throw, dude, the left-handed throw. That's 2 quarterbacks this week. Because what's it called? Patty Mahomes did it too. He threw with his left hand. I mean, that's pretty damn cool. Don't get me wrong, but
I think I would go with Hollywood and DK. Honestly. And then put Pittman in the flex unless Mitchell's out, and then I'm flexing Wilson. I think that's what I'd do.
You pick up what you're putting down. All right, John, with the question here. Can I trust Hawkinson and Thielen?
That game last week was just ridiculous.
He had donuts, right?
And I just both teams.
Yeah, they didn't want to win. Nobody wanted to win that game.
It's like, so it was a tie. So now we know that Jared Goff is Mason Rudolph. They're basically equal.
The same thing.
And that's like, I mean, if there ever was a diss, it's like, man, you Mason Rudolph. He's terrible. They should have went with Dwayne Haskins. I feel like they would have blown him out. But like it was just every team just kept giving the ball back 3-4 times in a row. Fourth quarter and overtime. It's like, what are you doing? And then the last play of the game, I'm doing 18 laterals. Run the hell out of bounds. 1 second on the clock. Kick a 65-yarder or throw a bomb into the end zone. They're giving 3 or 4 laterals. You had time to run to the sideline. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, damn Pop Warner out there. Can you trust Hawkinson?
Browns this week.
I think you have to, unless there's something else out there. If Komet's out there still, grab Komet, but you're not dropping Hawkinson. And Thielen is exactly what I thought he was. It's exactly hot start. Come on down to earth, buddy. We miss you. So I'd find a better option, but he's also somebody that you're not just dropping. Right? We talked about this, I think, last week. People get drop heavy. Should I drop this guy? Can I trust this guy? Well, do you have someone better to trust? Do you have someone better to pick up? If you do, go ahead. But I would.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, if it's a 10-team league, there's probably a bunch of options. 12, 14, maybe not.
With Thielen this week, I'm kind of on the fence too. They are going up against Green Bay defense that you just mentioned is number 1 in the league right now. I mean, Thielen probably would be guarded by not King, I would assume, but who's the other guy over there?
Well, I'm thinking of something as you're saying this. Like, well, I mentioned it, and the whole world is noticing. So you know what's going to happen.
Thielen's going to go for 151, 3 touchdowns. No,
Minnesota's going to score 30-something points. Right?
Game script, baby.
I will say that Green Bay, ever since that playoff game against Washington, sort of has Kirk Cousins' number. But, you know, I said it. I probably jinxed them. Damn it. And the world is noticing. So Minnesota probably scores 30-something points this week. So roll with both these guys. You're in an ebb. It can only go up from here. One more week, John. Trust them.
All right, Marty. Great call on Falcons, guess. I lost by 0.24 with Ryan as my QB. I lost by 3.6 with Rodgers at a QB and 3 with Brissett at my QB. My 3 teams' QBs didn't have a touchdown. Tough week. I was in the same boat as you, Marty. I had Mike White and Matt Ryan in the leagues. And I think I texted Nick. I think I texted you. I was like, between both my quarterbacks right now, I have 0.08, and it was probably like close to the 4th quarter. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know if he's being sarcastic. Did I have a great call on the Falcons?
You said that Dallas was going to beat up on them pretty good.
Yeah. But I didn't think they'd take out their players with a quarter and a half to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, losing by 0.24 with Ryan and you only got 2.5 quarters out of him is just criminal. It's criminal. And you have no one to be mad about except for their head coach. No one. You can't even be mad at Dallas. You can't be mad at Matt Ryan. You can't be mad at yourself. It's just you put in players thinking, I'm going to get 4 quarters out of them unless they get hurt. When somebody pulls them out of the game when they weren't playing bad and they were just getting smoked. And 0.24 is ridiculous. Rodgers, I mean, you know, A.J. Dillon just kept running the ball in whenever there was a touchdown, which there was only 2, and they came late. And Brissett sucks. I wish I would have known you were using Brissett. I would have told you not to, Marty.
Quadzilla looked amazing on my bench.
Yeah.
All right. Jeremy, but I have Monty and Bolden as my running backs. Nothing out there for pickup. I think this was talking about when he's playing us this week in ABG League.
Yeah, Bolden's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Keep him in there.
Who's better D to play? Browns against the Lions or Titans against the Texans?
Titans.
I agree. I'm going to go Titans as well. Sorry. Josh, not streaming, have Rams in Pittsburgh as of now, Colts and San Fran on waivers. Interesting that we went with the 2 waiver options.
Yeah. Listen, the Rams and Pittsburgh are 2 good ones. They're just coming off, relatively down weeks. The thing that you have going wrong with Pittsburgh at the moment is that TJ Watt's hurt. And I just want to look real quick. Here. Colts, Buffalo, Tampa Bay. Then you got Houston, New England, Arizona, Vegas. So actually, aside from week 13, the Colts aren't worth it. So what I want you to do, Josh, is just circle week 12. So maybe after this week, if you got a spot, maybe when we go through the other teams, you can drop somebody. You want the Colts for week 13 playing against Houston. So now we got to go to San Francisco. San Francisco's got a nice one. They got Jags, so you want to use San Francisco probably this week. Minnesota, Seattle, Cincy, Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston in the championship, right? You get a trend here. Then we got Pittsburgh and the Rams. So let's just see here. Just got to find a player that plays for Pittsburgh. There he is. Let's look at the schedule. Chargers, you don't want them this week. Cincy, Baltimore, Minnesota, Tennessee, KC, Cleveland. Pittsburgh doesn't look too good. I'm telling you right now. And what the hell is that guy's name? Matt Stafford. That's his name. They have a bye next week. So what I'm going to do, I want the Colts in San Francisco because they're who are going to give you the best road to success moving forward. I don't know how you can drop the Rams on a bye this week. And Pittsburgh's got a tough matchup. I don't know. Somebody else is going to pick them up. But then even after that, they got Green Bay. Week 13, they have Jacksonville, but we already said week 13, use the Colts versus Houston. Arizona, Seattle, Minnesota, Baltimore versus Lamar. I might just pick up the Colts in San Francisco and just get rid of the Rams in Pittsburgh. I mean, it seems criminal, but we're going off a name value. I'm looking at matchups. All 4 defenses are good. Pick up the 2. Or if you got some bums on your bench, grab all 4. Screw it.
I was going to say use the name value. Look for a team that's looking for a defense somewhere in the mid, probably if anybody 4, 5, or 6 right now, even 7, knowing that they have a chance to make the playoffs. Go with some name value. Do a 2-for-1er type thing, and that gives you an open bench spot to go pick up another defense, and then you can drop one of the other ones for the for that. So
trade the name value.
Especially the Rams. If you could see somebody be like, oh, man, I can get the Rams defense, even though we're on a bye this week, don't worry, I can use them the rest of the way. That's the type of concept I would go with.
Yeah, fill out the rest of your roster. Great idea, Rob.
All right, Chris, with the question, would you drop Khalil Herbert for A.J. Dillon?
Aaron
Jones out for 1 to 2 weeks.
Yesterday. I would have already done that if I could. You can't, but yes. Today. Yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday.
Yesterday. All right, Josh, with another one. I didn't know Mitchell went down. Trading Monty might hurt me now. Which back in San Francisco is up next?
Well, he didn't go down.
They're saying he might still play this week, to be honest with you.
He broke a hand, popped up out of nowhere. Rob said he read something where he's going to have a procedure done. He might be out this week. It's Jeffrey Wilson. That's who's up next, Jeffrey Wilson Jr. He got burned last week. He's the number 2. But Mitchell's the number 1. If Mitchell plays, he's good to go. But a broken hand, kind of got to hold on to the football a little bit.
I like the way they were describing it on Monday Night Football. It's like Shanahan, has gone through so many running backs, but Eli Mitchell seems to be his favorite. He's been saying this since the beginning, guess.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I had a Favre jersey as a kid, or Favre, and that is saying a lot since I'm from Chicago. That does say a lot.
Yeah, nice.
He was that good, man.
Yeah, he was.
He was that damn good. John, Heineke or Danny Dimes? Interesting.
Who's Washington playing? I'm not gonna.
Panthers.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be reactive with Heineke. No, I'm gonna go with Danny Dimes. Go for the Monday Night Magic. Panthers defense proves again and again and again how great that defense is. Every single week, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Even when they're giving up a ton of points, they're still making a ton of plays, and a lot of the points typically aren't great production for the players they're playing against. Danny Dimes for me. Heineke has Tampa Bay's number. We said it on the Saturday show. We're like, you should have beat him in the playoffs. He's probably going to have a pretty good game. That's what happened.
All right. Darko. Lance isn't ready yet, but I love the kid's potential.
Yeah,
I could see it. I mean, he's like Josh Allen. It's going to take time.
yeah. I just didn't like him going into the season, and so many people were so high on him. I was just like, he has no path, and that's why I like Mac Jones so much, and Zach Wilson. That's why I had them number one and number two, because I feel like they're better than Trevor Lawrence. They were going to better teams than the Jags. There was no path. There was no path for him. But yes, potential for sure. Dynasty, okay. Otherwise, not this year.
Yeah. Jeremy was talking about Russell Wilson, not Jeff Wilson Jr., in that saying that he didn't look good. So.
Oh, well, I think he's going to bounce back. You know why he didn't look good? He's playing against the best defensive football. I'll say it again. I'll jinx him even more. It's ridiculous what they're doing to teams.
Should I move it up to 35 plus now from
What's
Minnesota?
that? I know. I mean, they've just been ridiculous. It was his first game back, and you got to go to Green Bay, and you play against this defense that's just rolling right now. DK got out of the game. You know, it wasn't super early, it wasn't super late from punching people. I never understand why people punch helmets. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess when I was drunk as a kid, I would punch a wall. You know what I mean? Like 20 years old, you get angry. It's like, why are you punching a wall? I never punched a brick wall, but some people did, I'm sure. But he wasn't drunk. He's playing football. He's making millions of dollars, and his team's trying to win games. You shouldn't be punching people in the helmet. And then he tried to sneak back on the field. Did you see that?
I did. That
was great.
It was.
He came out to the huddle, and the ref looks over. He's like, what? He's like, you got to go. Oh. I love DK.
Yeah, me too. I think he just had a bad game. And you could tell frustration level was high. I mean, Russ threw 2 interceptions in the end zone. I mean, that's rough, man.
Yeah, no, I know. I get that that's what you meant, but I think he bounced back. The only thing I'd worry about is if DK gets suspended. If he doesn't, which is, we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
He's going to bounce back. I know they're going against Arizona this week, and the problem there is if it's Colt McCoy again, Seattle's defense is playing well enough that they could probably shut them down, and then Seattle will just run. But if it's Kyler, if for whatever reason they say, all right, we just lost a game, we don't have the number 1 seed anymore, we can't do this, we need to get a win, even though it's right before the bye, and they come back, D-Hop and Kyler, then DK is a must-play. So we'll see. And this is why we don't make these decisions on Tuesday. But I'll give you a heads up about how I'm feeling. But you come back, you watch the Saturday night show, and we know a lot more information at that point in time. We'll go from there.
All right, Jeremy, should I be switching over to the group page live stream to make things easier on posting questions? It's all the same stream, but to be honest with you, I just didn't scroll down far enough when we posted that thing with the Wilson, I guess. But it's all the same stream.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, welcome, Justin. Love the picture. Carmelo, yeah. I'm 7-3. Do I pick up Stevenson or Foreman or go with Finn's or Brown's defense as my ad?
I mean, I'm picking up Stevenson.
I kind of like the Finn's defense, to be honest with you.
They were our choice in the season, kind of going off. They're kind of getting it together. Yeah, I like the Finn's defense. I believe they have a pretty Good schedule. I'll check it out. But I'm going to go with Stevenson, and it's not really too reactive. Justin, welcome to Answers by Guests. Not sure if it's your first time watching. I see you're joining us from YouTube. But we preach to be proactive and not reactive. We want to grab the people that nobody even know about, nobody is even talking about, the people that people are dumping because the potential is there. Um, so Stevenson is going to be a reactive ad. I grabbed Stevenson Sunday morning. I'm a Harris owner. Grabbed him in 2 leagues. But he's been on the map since the preseason. He had a great preseason. Um, but a lot of people are going to react. Now, Harris is probably going to be back this week. But if Harris goes down again, I mean, it seems like it's every other week or two. Harris is going down. Stevenson's coming in the game. Foreman, we talked about it on the Saturday show. Nobody liked Deonta Foreman more than me in 2017 when he was a rookie for the Houston Texans. I was like, get this guy in the game. Get him in the game. He's so good. If you go back and you watch our show from 4 years ago, I was telling people about Deonta Foreman. He could never stay healthy, so he never really got a shot. He's sharing time with 2 other people, and he doesn't look great, but Stevenson does. And when Stevenson gets on the field, if Harris is out, he's worth a hell of a lot more than Deonta Foreman. So you pick him up, and worse comes to worse. You pick up Stevenson, and you trade him to the Harris owner, and you get yourself a nice bag of riches. Because that Harris owner is feeling the grief of, man, I should have grabbed that guy. So you get him, you trade him, you get yourself something you need, something you can use each and every week. And the fantasy events, I think, is a good call.
All right, Josh. If Mitchell can't go, who do I flex? DJ Moore versus Washington Football Team, or Gaskin versus the Jets?
I'm not a Gaskin fan, and I didn't like DJ Moore going into the season. He had a great first few weeks. The Cam Newton thing, he's terribly inaccurate. DJ Moore didn't do great last week, but he didn't really have to do much. And I do think, I don't know, I want to say DJ Moore, but I feel like Gaskin's probably the better play. Just because they're going against the Jets and the defense is playing so well, like we just told Justin. They need to start giving Ahmed the ball more. That's criminal that what they're doing to him because Gaskin hasn't been doing anything. But they're going against the Jets. If they're opportunistic on defense, which is what we've said Miami's defense was all season long, even when they weren't doing well, they're opportunistic. Wilson comes back shakier. They have to go with White. Or somehow Flacco makes it in a game, or Josh Johnson again. It's going to be some short fields. I like Tua in this game to get some cheap touchdowns. Gaskin can be a part of that as well. I'd probably go with him.
I agree with you. I think Gaskin would be my choice as well. But do you feel like Cam Newton with the DJ Moore connection, since they have played together, does that help the situation?
I don't know. I feel like their defense is so good that they're going to be able to suffocate Heineke. And this could be similar to kind of what we saw last week. However, I will say this. The Arizona offense without D-Hop is kind of terrible, even with Kyler. Because you go back to the Green Bay game. As soon as D-Hop went out, their offense could do nothing. D-Hop came in, huge second reception of the game, then he went out again, and their offense continued to do nothing. Like, he's what makes them go, without a doubt. And it's crazy because Rondale Moore, super talented, Christian Kirk, A.J. Green's been having a great year. The 2 running backs before Edmonds got hurt, none of them did anything. They haven't really been doing much. It was Connor 2 weeks ago. Last week was really nothing. I don't think it's Kyler as much as it's D-Hop, which is crazy. So maybe that's why Carolina kind of, but they've been doing it all year. They've been shutting people down. I think DJ Moore is safer because you at least know he's going to get targets. But I just feel like Gaskin's going to get some cheap touchdowns. I feel like they're going to have some short fields against the Jets. It's how I feel on a Tuesday. We'll see how we feel Saturday night when we do our Week 11 show. But as of right now, and I don't even like him. And typically, I'm not allowed to recommend a guy I don't like because usually when I do that, they do terrible. And I'm like, I didn't even like this guy. But I didn't really like DJ Moore going into this year either. And I have to choose. So I'm going to go with Gaskin for now.
All right. Looking to maybe pick up Stevenson just because. Worth it to drop Herbert. This league I have J. Rob, Zeke, and Monty. Also Pollard on my bench.
Yeah. The only thing I'm going to say is that you have Monty, so you have his backup. If you have Stevenson with J. Rob and Zeke, there's a very slim chance that you're ever even going to use him. Because if Zeke goes down, you're using Pollard. Monty goes down, you're using Herbert, and you're using J-Rob. So picking up Stevenson, I don't know if it makes you any better because you have to hope Harris gets hurt and none of your other guys get hurt. You have to hope Harris gets hurt, not Monty. Otherwise, you could just sit pretty. Be like, all right, I got Monty's back up, I got Zeke's back up, I got J-Rob. No matter what, you're going to be rolling with 2 running backs. If you get rid of Herbert, now you could be rolling with, well, you'll have Zeke and J-Rob, but you got to hope something doesn't happen. I don't know.
I'm staying put, to be honest with you. I like your we're not big on handcuffs here, but with Monty kind of just coming back, and I know they had the bye week and stuff like that, I think what Guess is saying, you have to hope Harris gets hurt compared to if one of your guys does get hurt, you do have the backups already for it. So
all you can really do is if you pick up Stevenson, you do what we told Justin to do. You pick him up, you trade him.
Correct.
You trade him tomorrow. You get him on waivers, and you're like, hey, Harris owner, I got Stevenson. What do you got for me?
Talking about Stevenson, might as well jump into the Thursday night game here. Patriots obviously coming off of that big win against Cleveland. They have an offense that kind of goes to everybody. Mac Jones looked really good. You called Hunter Henry getting another touchdown. Does that trend continue? I see him on waiver wires. Should he be on waiver wires? On the flip side, Atlanta got destroyed. You mentioned earlier in the show, when teams usually get destroyed, they tend to try to come back. It is a Thursday night game. It is a short week. Can we trust our Falcons players this week?
Yeah, Henry's the number 3 tight end on the year, fantasy football. And I dropped him last week. Before the Sunday games, I dropped him. I picked up Stevenson. Because I was like, well, Harris isn't playing. Stevenson's probably going to ball out. Picked up Stevenson. I'd rather have an extra running back than an extra tight end. Because although Hunter Henry is the number 3 tight end in fantasy, he's doing it on very little production. It's touchdowns. And the touchdowns, I mean, they're a little fluky. I mean, they're not. We can rely on them with guys like Henry. But it's like if he doesn't get a touchdown, he's not doing anything. He's getting you 1, 2, 3, 4 points. And we've talked about it nauseum. If you're getting 6 or 7 points from a tight end, that's pretty good. It's like medium, right?
Yeah.
But should he be on waivers? Probably not. I'm sure somebody's going to pick him up. But I have Knox and Kmet. So I really didn't need Henry. I'm tired of getting 1 for 6 in a touchdown or 2 for 19 in a touchdown. I want something more. I want something else, like Third Eye Blind, Sunday Charmed Life. Great jam. But anyways, back to the game. So the Falcons coming off the drubbing. They're at home in this one. How will they respond? The starters will at least start. We'll see if they'll finish. Patriots riding high. This is the NFL in a nutshell, is what I see. Everybody loving the Patriots. Everybody loving Mac Jones. Everybody making fun of the Falcons. Thursday night, what happens? The Falcons beat the Patriots. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Do I think the Patriots are a much better team? Yes. But I feel like the Falcons are going to win this game. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people who don't pay attention unfortunately, in fantasy football to the games, and they just look at their points or the box score. And they're going to look at this and they're going to go, oh, what the heck? Pitts had this, or what the heck? Patterson had this, or what the heck? Matt Ryan had this. Not realizing they really only played like 2 quarters, 2.5. I think they bounced back. The Patriots have a really great defense. We talked about it ad nauseum. Right? They pick people out of the drive-through. Like, hey, after they give them their Big Mac, like, hey, you want to come play free safety? Okay, sure. And they make amazing players out of them. And it's amazing defense. Continue to get it done. But Matt Ryan at home is a different beast. And after that game last week, they will bounce back. Just like you said, just like we kind of opened the show with. There's a new rule. When there's a good team, they're not a great team. And the rule really goes for great teams like the Bills and like the Cowboys. But they're a good team. Gets drubbed in a game where they should at least be competitive, if not win outright, dominantly, even like the Bills should have to Jacksonville. They'll come back and they'll bounce back. This is Public Joe 101, this game. Patriots off a huge win. Falcons off a huge loss. Everybody's going to be all over the Patriots in the gambling world. This is why Vegas is Vegas. So we have to look at Vegas for fantasy. And I don't know if many people do that a lot of times. Like, you got to look at over-unders. You got to look at everything I just said, the trends. How'd the last game go? How does the public think it's going to go? And kind of, when they zig that way, you got to zag. I think if you played Falcons last week and you were pissed off, remember, you're pissed off at the coaches. We were telling somebody before. Don't get pissed off at the players. They got taken out of the game, which was BS. They're going to bounce back in this one. They're going to find a way to beat the Patriots defense, and they're going to do enough things on defense to, I think, make Mac Jones struggle just a little bit. Jacoby Myers got his first touchdown last week. We called that one. Although we can't really take credit for it because we also said that 2 weeks ago that he would score his first touchdown, and he didn't. So we just re-upped last week, and it finally happened. I think he scores another one. I think he scores in this game as well. Hunter Henry will keep doing what he does. Not sure if they're going to have Jonnu Smith. He was out last week on a short week. I doubt he plays. So that means Hunter Henry's a fine play. You got to pay attention to Harris. If Harris plays, Stevenson goes back to the bench. So we'll see if he gets cleared. But there's a player last week who, when the starters were still in, started to get burned. And this guy was a guesstimator. And I want to say it was like week 6, if I'm not mistaken. Wayne Gallman.
Yeah, I think he was week 6.
And Wayne Gallman looked pretty good. And this was middle of the game, early in the game. He was getting burned because Mike Davis is terrible. We told you all that in the preseason. Wayne Gallman, we told you about weeks ago. If you are going out, if you are in need of a running back, and everybody's going after Stevenson, or everybody's going after these names that popped last week, wait till the waivers are done. Grab yourself Wayne Gallman. He may not do too much in this game, but he's going to get more burn, more meaningful burn in this game than he has all season long. And if he shows, he's their new starting running back. And you have a starting running back basically for free. Because I don't think that people are going to be going out and putting in a waiver claim for Wayne Gallman because there's no news about Wayne Gallman. There's no box score joy about Wayne Gallman. Everybody just knows the Falcons got killed. Like, oh, nobody on the Falcons did anything. They all got taken out. No, Wayne Gallman was playing. He was playing when the starters were in. Wayne Gallman is who I'd be targeting on the waiver wire, I think. But, yeah, I think the Falcons win this one. You play Pitts, play Patterson. If you're absolutely have to, you play Matt Ryan. He's at home. Don't go off of his terrible showing last week. And you keep playing Henry, Jacoby Myers if you need him. I think this is a game where you just play your guys, and we just enjoy Thursday night game. I think it's going to be some points. Let's say like a 26-21, 26-22, some like weird, funky score. Falcons pull it out at home and just completely do 2021 NFL.
Yeah, it seems.
Yep.
Absolute
It's like
foes, man.
weird stuff. People are like, oh my God, the Falcons, after getting killed last week, come back and beat a team that absolutely destroyed Cleveland on Thursday Night Football. Who saw this coming? That's yeah. It just makes too much sense, right? Now we could come on the show Saturday and Atlanta loses 38-3, and I'm like, well, I was wrong. But I just feel like this is how it's going to happen. Atlanta is not that bad. The Patriots aren't that good, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Too much recency bias. And that's why Vegas is Vegas. So do not shy away from your Falcons. They'll be just fine. Patriots defense is good. They're great. They'll be just fine. They'll put up points in this one. Wayne Gallman is who you want to go and grab, while everybody else chases after Stevenson and these other names that popped last week, because that was way under the radar. And we told you 5-6 weeks ago that Wayne Gallman was going to be the one. And he looked really good. So we'll see. See if it's right.
Yeah, I think he had like 17 or 18 touches in the game, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right. It was the majority was before everybody came out. Darko, I said Henry was on the trade block, but I guess everyone is happy with their tight end production. Nobody wants to seem to trade in the ABG league. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, sorry, go ahead.
You go.
You're right on Henry. I mean, I think his highest targets that he's had in the last 4 weeks have been 4, and everything else is usually like 3. But you're right, he's getting the touchdown production. So the point value is there to a certain extent. Yes, you're talking about your 6, 7, 8, 9 points. I want Gesicki had 0 for me last week, but he had 7 targets, and that's from Jacoby Brissett. Like I'd rather keep a Gesicki and hope for the best, especially against a Jets team where I can see you're right. From a game script, from a Hunter Henry perspective, their schedule is going to get harder too, and there's still a bye week that you got to work with.
Yep.
Do you want to say that's it?
Sorry, there's another question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, risk folk playing drop before tomorrow night and hope for a Zerline coming off COVID list. Would I need to activate Greg? I would need to activate Greg.
What happened to Nick Folk?
He's always questionable. Every single week he comes up questionable, but he plays.
Yeah, they're playing in the dome. Young Wei Koo on the other side. You can see a bunch of field goals in this game. I mean, how else are we going to get to 26-22?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Play Folk.
I'm starting Folk, to be honest with you. I even though he's questionable, every week he's questionable, and I think he usually plays. Just pay attention to it. Obviously, we'll know Thursday by 6 usually if he's going to play or not. So that's where you take the chance then.
Yeah. Yep.
Guess?
Yeah.
I got nothing else there, buddy.
Nah, me neither. This is the fun time. I know we said a few weeks ago, this is when it gets fun. This is when it is fun. This is the best part. The home stretch. The final used to be like the final 4 weeks. 11, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, now we're at 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're at the final 4 weeks now. And this is where we got to win. You got to win. Got to win to get in. You got to keep on winning.
I don't like the last 2 losses in our most important league, man.
Yeah,
I think it was a little fluky, but
nothing has gone our way, from injuries,
everything, man,
to a penalty, to a ridiculous touchdown or something. It's okay though. All we gotta do is win 4 in a row, and we're in. We're like 2 games out of the playoffs. Yeah, we're coming. I'm not worried. And you know what? If we don't win, I'll be so happy that someone who's been a part of Answers by Guess for at least a couple of years, most people for the 5 years we've been doing this, wins. That'll make me happy. Be like a proud dad.
The tutelage has worked.
Yeah, here's your check, sir. Here's your allowance.
Remember, always like us, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. Remember the bye weeks, Denver Broncos and Los Angeles Rams. And as always, search for us by looking up #AnswersByGuests, and you will see these handsome gentlemen. So, guys, good luck on Thursday if you do play anybody, and we'll be back Saturday night.
Yeah, real quick, if you're still watching, I don't remember who it was. Might have been Josh. The question about the quarterback, should I go out and pick up Tannehill or Tua or leave them? We have Teddy Bridgewater and Matt Stafford on a bye, so nobody's probably going out and grabbing a quarterback. Just leave them and pick them up after the waivers.
Great information. All right, guys, Answers by Guests.
See ya.
Peace.